So in this latest video looking at averages, we'll be discussing which average is best, the pros and cons of each average, and also looking at more high level reverse questions involving averages. So if you were asked on average, how many words do you think there are on a page in a book? The first question you probably want to think about is what type of average are they actually talking about? Now, as there are three types of averages to use, when do you or should you use the mean, the median, or the mode? And that's what we're going to discuss in this video. Now, the following table kind of answers the question, and majority of the answers that you could do to give that answer is going to be based on the type of data that you've actually got. Now, if you've got a list of numbers, then generally you could use either the mean or the median or the mode. However, if you're given worded data or categorical data, then the only average you can use is going to be the mode. Now, when we use each of these averages, again, is based on the type of data or you have to kind of look at the data in more detail. So when the range is small, and the numbers are generally similar, then that would be where we generally use the mean. When the range is big and the numbers are spread out, so the numbers are very different from each other, then we will tend to go for the median, will be a better average to use. And when we're going for the mode, when popularity matters, or when you have worded data, that is when you go for the mode. Now, obviously in maths, you'll never get a question that asks you to work out the average of this set of numbers, because you need a bit more detail than that. However, in the real world, when you are asked on average, then whatever precedes those two words, it kind of depends on, more often if it's numbers, it's generally going to involve the median and the mean, should I say. And if we're talking about categorical data, then when everyone talks about the average, we're probably talking about the mode of whichever is most popular. Now, another thing you kind of need to be aware of is the advantages and disadvantages of each of the averages. And again, this could be a question that comes up in your exam. And I'd recommend that you make a note of the contents of the table. So when we're looking at the mean, the positives are that includes every value in the list. So in other words, every number is going to contribute to the calculation of working out the mean. However, a con of working out the mean or using the mean is that it is affected by extreme values. So if you've got ridiculously high numbers or ridiculously low numbers in your data set, then obviously a mean is probably going to be affected and is not going to be a good choice of average to use. Now, on the contrary, if we've got a median, this isn't affected by extreme values. And again, what's classed as an extreme value is open to interpretation. So you would need to decide what's classed as a high value, what's classed as a low value. But generally speaking, if you're asking that question, then maybe the median would be a good choice for you to use. And a con of the median is that it doesn't include all the data. Now, in terms of the mode isn't affected by extreme values. However, it's the only average that can be used for worded responses. So there is an advantage of that. However, a con of using the mode is that no use if all the data is different or you have lots of modes as your answer. So let's have a look at some reverse questions. And again, these are very, very popular. Once you've mastered the art of calculating the three averages, and at a higher level, you might get asked a reverse question. And a reverse question is basically where they give you the average and you need to work out what a missing number is going to be. So let's have a look at this first one then. So the first one says that here we've got a list of 7 numbers, and it says that the mean is 5, and we need to work out what that missing number is. Now, when dealing with these types of questions, the first thing you want to establish is, okay, what information have I been given? So here I've been given that the mean is 5, and I've got a total of 7 numbers. Now, even though I can only see 6 numbers, x is still a number, just x is a number that I just don't know what it is, and that's what I need to find. Now, for the mean to be 5 of 7 numbers, so that means that the total sum of the 7 numbers must be equal to the mean, which is 5, times the amount of numbers, and that gives me a sum or an answer of 35. So that means that all of these numbers must add up to 35. So I've got 3 plus 6 plus 11 plus 4 plus 8 plus 0, and 0 is a number, plus x all adds up to 35. So if I add up all of these numbers together, I've got 3 plus 6 plus 11 is 20, and then we've got 32. So I've got 32 plus x equals 35, and then all I've got to do is work out what x is. So what plus 32 gives you 35? Well, the opposite of adding 35 is taken away. So here we've got x equals 3, and there is my missing number. So looking at this particular question here, we can see that we've got 4 numbers. So here I've got 4 numbers, which is worth making a note. And we've been told that the range is 7. Now to work out the range is equal to the biggest number take away the smallest number. Now the problem with this particular question is I don't know whether 2 is the smallest number or 7 is the biggest number. So there is going to be 2 possible answers of what I've got here, because you can see here that 7 take away 2 gives me 5, so therefore means that x must be either smaller than 2 or bigger than 7. So it's worth just making a note of that. So in terms of the first possible answer, let's assume that 7 is the biggest number, and let's say I've just got my missing number here, and that's going to equal 7. So let's just assume here, just get another pen. So if we just assume that x is smaller than 2, then what take away from 7 is going to give me 7? Well, that's going to equal 0. So there's my first possible answer. Now let's assume that x is the larger number, and let's say I'm going to take away 2, and that then gives me 7. So what do I take away from 2 to give me 7? Well, the opposite of taking away 2 is to add 2, and that gives me an answer of 9. So my 2 possible answers I could have, so my possible answer, possible answers are going to be that x equals 0 or 9. And like I said, if the question wanted me to give one specific number, then they would have to specify that x is the smaller number or x is the bigger number. So moving on to the next question. So here we've got a list of 8 numbers, and we've been told that the median is 12.5. Now again, with regards to the median is the middle number when ordered. And that's something that's really worth making a note of based on these types of questions, is understanding what it is that we've actually been given in terms of information. So here I've got 8 numbers. And again, although you can only see 7 numbers, x again is a number. Now for this, what I'm going to do is actually start by ordering the numbers. So here I've got 5, 6, 7, 8. Now if I start by writing this in, now I don't know where x is. So the first thing I need to do is order the numbers that I've been given here. So I know that we've got 4, and then we're going to have 8, 10, 15, 15, and another 15, and 19. Now, if I look at the middle number here, now in terms of this, my middle number that I've got is going to be somewhere between these two. Now, obviously at the moment, with those numbers in their current existence, the median is going to be 15. So what we then need to do is decide where we're going to put this middle number. So again, it can't be, so x has got to be somewhere within the range of these numbers of 4 and 19. So it's got to be somewhere there. Now in terms of the median, well, we can see here that we've both got 15. So 15 is definitely going to be somewhere on that side. So if I start 4, 8, 10, and then I've got 15, 15, 15, and 19, because obviously here this is giving me a mean of 15, and I want a smaller mean, which means I'm going to need a smaller number. Now, because I've got 8 numbers, that generally means I'm going to have to add these 2 numbers together and divide by 2. So add together and divide by 2. So I've got 15 plus x divided by 2, and that's going to give me an answer of 12.5. So if I look to reversing this, so let's say we're going to times by 2, so I get 15 plus x is going to give me 25, And then what plus 15 gives you 25? Well, the opposite of adding 15 is to take away 15. So x equals 10. So that therefore means that my missing number is going to be 10. So looking at some extension questions now, this question is particularly popular when it comes to tests and exams, simply because it combines all three averages and the range in one quick swoop. Now, and again, it's also classed as a high level question because it gets you to think of the reverse. So this question says that Elise is thinking of 6 numbers. The mean is 3, the median is 2, the mode is 1, and the range is 6. And what are the 6 numbers Elise is thinking of? Now, because we have to combine a lot of things together, the first thing we want to do is, let's first of all, we know that she's got 6 numbers. So let's start by creating what those 6 numbers are going to be with a range of different size boxes, like so. And let's just create a proper box for this one here. There we go. And so let's have a look at each of these 4 main points separately. Now, because the mean is 3, so as the mean is 3, and we've got a total, and we have 6 numbers. 6 numbers, therefore means that the total of all the numbers, so the total sum of all the numbers must equal 3 times 6, which is 18. And again, if you're not sure where that's come from, it's basically the mean times the number of numbers. So if I add up all those numbers, it's got to add up to 18. So that's one of the facts that I need to know when I'm looking at these numbers here. Now, in terms of the median being 2, now because I've got 6 numbers, so as the median equals 2, that means that the difference, or I won't say the difference, that when you add the third and fourth number together and divide by 2, the answer is 2. So in other words, what I've got to do is I've got to remember that 2 has got to be between these 2 numbers here. Now, the next thing we then know is that the mode is 1, so I've got to have more 1s than any other number. So I've got to have basically more than, let's say I've either got to have 1 or 2 2s, let's say more than 1 1, so I could have a range of maybe 3 or 4, even I won't say 5 because that won't work. And then the final component is that the range has got to be 6. So the difference between the biggest number, which is going to be this box here, take away the smallest, which is going to be this number here, has got to have a difference of 6. So the difference between these 2 boxes has got to have a difference of 6. Right, so let's have a look then. So again, it's just going to involve a little bit of playing. So let's just imagine that we've got 1, 1, 1, and then let's say we've got 3 here. So far I've got 1 plus 1 plus 1, which is 3, plus 3, which is 6. Now, because I've got 1 and 3 as my 2 middle numbers, the number that's in between that is going to be 2, which is absolutely fine. Now, from this, if I add 1 to 6, I'm going to get 7. Now, so that ticks off the range being 6. So far I've got the range being 6, the median being 2, and the mode being 1. So now all I've got to see is this number here. Now, if this number, that when I add up the 5 numbers I've written down, adds up to a number that's less than 18, and I work out what that missing number is for it to equal 18, is in between 3 and 7, then I'm all set and I'm good to go. So let's have a look at adding these up. So here I've got 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 3, which is 6, plus 7 equals 13, and then what plus 13 plus x equals 18. Well, that's going to be 5, and there we go. And as you can see there, that works absolutely fine, and we've got there is our answer. Now with these types of questions, you might have different sort of approaches for you to look at. So you might think to yourself, well, okay, if the median is going to be 2, then the middle two numbers must be 2. Well, the problem then is that you've then got your two numbers, only 2 spaces before that, and the mode has got to be 1. So you've got to have more than, let's say, 2 1s, and that's why her 6 numbers are going to be 1, 1, 1, 3, 5, and 7 as the final answer. So then let's look at our next extension question. So here it says that Ollie has these 4 number cards, so 3, 6, 3, and 4. He takes another card and the mean goes up by 1. What is the number on this new card? So for this particular question, what we need to do is work out the average of these 4 cards. So the average, or the mean I should say, definitely not the average. So here the mean of the 4 numbers is going to equal 3 plus 6 plus 3 plus 4 divided by 4 equals 16. Oh, no, it doesn't. That equals 16 over 4, which gives me a final answer of 4. So that therefore means, excuse the pun, that the new mean, so the new mean of 5 numbers is going to equal 5, because obviously it says that the mean goes up by 1. So what we've got then is 3 plus 6, or let's just get rid of that plus. So here I've got 3, 6, 3, 4, and x, and the mean is equal to 5. So this then becomes very, very similar to the first example of reverse question that we looked at. So here I've got 5 numbers and the mean is 5. So that means that the total sum of the 5 numbers has got to be the mean times the number of numbers. So that's 5 times 5, which is 25. So that's what all of these numbers need to add up to. So if I then just move up to the top here, so I've got 3 plus 6 plus 3 plus 4 plus x all adds up to 25. So if I add up the existing numbers, I've got 16 plus x equals 25. And then if I take away the 16, or ask myself what plus 16 gives you 25, and x equals 9. And there is Ollie's new number on the card. And there is our final answer.